Well, Governor, thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. And I think you want to talk about the state budget, so why don't we give you the floor for a couple of minutes, and we'll ask you some questions.
Just spend a couple minutes and then, open up the rest of the time. Well, obviously signed it yesterday. Pleased overall. Took a $3.6 billion budget deficit when we started out back in January, and at the end of this biennium we'll have a $300 million surplus. Freezes property taxes. Maintains core safety net programs. In fact, the largest amount we increased spending on is Medicaid, $1.2 billion to cover things like Badger Care, maintain family care, and continue on with Badger Care. Overall, I think puts us in good position, and particularly part of the reason why we signed it at Fox Valley Metal Tech talking about manufacturing was there's some significant incentives for manufacturers, agriculture-related businesses, and investments in general to be made in the state of Wisconsin. And the overwhelming issue I still hear time and time again, heard it in the campaign and hear it now in the last 6 months, are jobs. While people are pleased with the growth, we've had about 26,000 new private sector jobs, about 13,000, a little over 13,000 of those are in manufacturing. We're still a long ways off from being where we need to be at. 7.4% unemployment. It's better than most states in the Midwest, certainly better than the national average, but we got to do a lot more to create jobs, and so that's why major parts of the budget include that as well. Other things, and you should probably ask about some of the vetoes, but obviously I looked at the list before you had and tackled a number of those. Obviously police pay, felt that should be dealt with separately in the budget. I mean, there's some arguments about consistency with the rest of the state, but that's probably dealt with better, not just for Milwaukee, but with the rest of the state. Bail bondsman, again, not necessarily a bad idea, but one where two things came to mind with that veto. One, the way it was set up, it would start immediately, and in states where they've done it, where it's been okay, it's largely been well regulated, and this wouldn't give us an opportunity to regulate what was in the bail bondsman language through the administrative code process. The other big thing is I talked to Judge Kramer's here, and we've talked to other chief judges around the state, and they had a real concern if you started it immediately without a phase-in, presuming it would happen in the future, that many judges had put criminals in the prison with the expectation that, for example, if you gave a $200,000 bond or a bail, that they wouldn't be able to get that. Whereas this would require 10%. So the chances are you'd flip a lot of those guys out. That was another concern of mine. So you look at those, I mean, a lot of the other vetoes were fairly technical, but some of those were some key policy decisions. Another one was weight-based, the change on tobacco to weight-based. Just thought it's one of those where you can make a compelling argument just on tax policy, probably either way. But the bigger concern that many of the health-related organizations had brought to my attention was you make this change, a number of these products might be more attractive to young people, and certainly didn't want to see that happening.